My name is Joe Powell, Chief Executive of All Wales People First. And as ever, this is one of my quarterly updates to the membership of All Wales People First, as promised in the Mirror strategy. That's our business plan of 2019 and 2023. So there's been a lot going on in All Wales People First, so I'm just going to pick some very, very key features. First thing is thank you to everybody who attended and contributed to ADFest. In June, it was a major success. We had 93 people on day one and 106 people on day two. I just thought it was an excellent event. I always find it interesting because year after year, people will say that's the best ADFest ever. And I always find that funny because I think, well, that's what you said last year. But believe you me, in my time in All Wales People First, that was the best ADFest ever. And I think it had a lot down to the brilliant organisation of the event from Vicky and the team. I wasn't involved in that. I think it also had a lot to do with the lovely weather and the amazing hotel venue. And what a beautiful place Conwy is. And also the fact we hadn't been together in person for a couple of years. So I just thought it was just a magnificent coming together and reunion really of self-advocates across Wales. Just how great is that? At ADFest as well, we were able to pass during our extraordinary general meeting some changes to our mem and arts. So that's the rules that we're governed by in All Wales People First. So thank you to all for taking part in that. I know this stuff isn't very interesting. It's not very exciting, but you know it is. It's necessary, I'm afraid, in order to run the organisation in a legal way. Hopefully, it was presented quickly and efficiently enough so that it wasn't too painful, that we got it over and done with without too much boredom. I would say one of the biggest things that All Wales is involved in at the moment, I mean, we're doing an awful lot of stuff. There's an awful lot of member engagement work going on. We've got our finger in a lot of pies. But one of the big concerns for me personally at the moment is the British Bill of Human Rights, which is being proposed in Westminster to replace the Human Rights Act of 1998. It's concerning for a whole host of reasons, but the big thing that worries me personally is the fact that it would potentially reduce the accountability of politicians in Westminster for decisions that are made that go against what are currently human rights. The fact that appeals would have to be heard in the European Court of Law because which would cause a backlog instead of the British courts, instead of hearing these cases in the British courts. They cause me great concern. And also, you know, the fact that the government, the UK government, set up an independent review on the Human Rights Act, and it concluded that it was not necessary to change the Human Rights Act that we've got currently. We actually, as All Wales, give evidence to that and give positive evidence to that towards the current Human Rights Act of 1998. But unfortunately, the government in Westminster is still decided to put this bill through Westminster. So we are really worried. We've done all we can. We've work with organisations like the British Institute of Human Rights to raise awareness through our networks wherever we can. And just last week, the comms team and we wrote to every Welsh MP in Wales asking them, you know, not to allow this legislation to be passed into law. So other than doing things like that and keeping our eye on the situation and reacting to however we feel at the time things need reacting to, you know, there isn't an awful lot we can do but watch, wait and react when necessary. We do, of course, have the point of view of the members, so thank you very much for members who've worked with engagement with All Wales People First. Those points of views have been put into consultations and various responses that have gone out. We're just trying our very best to make a good, strong representation. All Wales People First as well is aware that we need to look into the diversity of the organisation. This is at a board level and a national council level. It's a difficult situation because both in terms of the national council, both in terms of All Wales People First and the groups, from what I've seen, everybody's welcome. The door's open to everybody. But obviously there are marginalised groups out there who for whatever reason aren't being reached, and we are aware that we need to make the effort to reach out to them. So we are aware of that, and something that we're now looking to work on is a diversity strategy to try and make this happen. Very grateful to people at Diverse Cymru, the chief executive there, for chatting with me about diversity and a diversity strategy. The great thing with the diversity strategy is, again, not only does it help us focus to make sure we include the voices of people with learning disabilities from all communities, but at the same time, what surprised me as well is, instead of thinking we could just reach out and bring people in, it is very clear that this has to be a bigger piece of work over a longer period of time. You know, diversity will not happen just by saying everybody's welcome. You know, this is going to take a bit of effort over a period of time. So, you know, we're looking at how we can do that. How fabulous as well that our National Council had its first LGBT rep at the last meeting in May. He was an observer in the February meeting and was actually an official representative in May. So massive congratulations and big respect to Scott. And also our National Council are embarking on their first black and minority ethnic group as well for self-advocacy. That's in the pipeline. The date had to be delayed, but it is in the pipeline and it's going to happen. So big shout out to the member engagement team and the National Council for that. That's really exciting stuff, and I'll be very interested to see what comes out of the group. Certainly in terms of issues for people with learning disabilities who come from a different ethnic background or cultural background or whatever diverse background they come from. Generally, I think that's going to be of great interest to All Wales People First in getting a picture on the way Wales includes people with learning disabilities generally. We are aware of an ongoing need for advocacy and self-advocacy actually to be championed. Although All Wales People First are an organisation primarily focused with self-advocacy, we understand and realise that there is a joint relationship between advocacy and self-advocacy, and the members who self-advocate also sometimes need advocates. I mean, I needed an advocate to leave the care service, so I know from first-hand experience just how important advocacy is. So we are still working about that with the learning disability, the new learning disability strategy in Welsh Government. We've managed to work with others to get advocacy and self-advocacy as major priorities on that. And I am putting together a report to map out the experience of advocacy across Wales, both advocacy and self-advocacy, with a view to hopefully working with the Learning Disability Ministerial Advisory Group to give this report to important ministers so they can understand the health of self-advocacy and advocacy and the temperature and what needs to happen. At our meeting in May, members agreed that All Wales People First should set up a trading arm. Now, the idea of the trading arm was put in the Mirror strategy, that's our business plan, 2019 to 2023, as another way for All Wales People First to help local groups. One of the things that our independent evaluation of 2017 said was that All Wales People First needed to do more to help local groups during these very difficult times. Now, one of the things we tried to do, this is why the regional councils, for instance, were introduced. They were only ever meant as a temporary measure for All Wales People First to work with groups, to work with local authorities or regional partnership boards to make the case, or the strong case, for the funding of self-advocacy. AdFest, the idea of AdFest, it wasn't just about a different way to do a conference. It was meant to be a festival that genuinely celebrated the place of people with learning disabilities in Welsh society, but also to showcase self-advocacy in action. Anybody in Wales, public sector, police, that's the police and hospitals, third sector, such as All Wales People First, charities, government, local authorities. If you want to know what people with learning disabilities think about a particular issue, come to AdFest. and hear from the members yourself. And in doing so, we demonstrate self-advocacy in action. This will be the place to come to get the genuine voice on the ground. That was the idea of that. Obviously, working with regional partnership boards has been a success in lots of ways. I think the work All Wales People First have done in regional councils with groups across Wales has been incredible. Has to be implemented differently in terms of the way the business plan was first written and imagined. We could not foretell COVID-19, which meant a lot of local authorities were kind of closed ranks. Regional partnership boards were harder to get hold of. All Wales People First itself was locked down and working from home. But nonetheless, I think we've done some great stuff with local groups and local authorities in making the case for self-advocacy across Wales. So that was another part of that. The trading arm was a recognition as part of that we could maybe try and see if we could pay people with learning disabilities to promote the changes that are needed in Welsh society by paying them as genuine employees and using their skills and knowledge, getting them into the community to actually change attitudes for people with learning disabilities themselves, and hopefully maybe generate income for groups as another way of helping groups to survive during difficult times. Because, you know, we all know the political times at the moment, and the last thing I'm ever trying to do is to be negative, but we are hearing all the time of further cuts and further restrictions. So we have to always be mindful of the impact it's going to have on advocacy and self-advocacy. So we can never take for granted that we're just going to be funded, whether that's at an All Wales level or a group level. Now, I hope that never gets to that, and let's hope it, you know, that's not a thing. But it would be foolish of us to not bear it in mind at least. And I hope the trading arm will play a big part in that. So we're going to have future meetings of what I call a trading arm think tank, which will now look into a proposed business plan that I've wrote with Social Cares Wales to finally shape it and hopefully pass it and start work on it. Because the think tank haven't looked at the business plan yet or discussed it, there isn't much I can update you on at this stage, and it wouldn't be appropriate at this stage. But I will let you know as soon as I hear anything. I would also like groups just to bear in mind that as part of our work to support local groups, we've created the role of the Mirror Coordinator. So that's Philippa Davis. So some of you may have already met Philippa. Some groups have actually worked with Philippa already. Please bear in mind that Philippa is there to support and to help you during these difficult times. That was another part of the pledges made in the Mirror strategy. As All Wales People First, to help local groups. The one thing All Wales People First can't do, unfortunately, is to get money and just hand it to groups. But we can get funding to fund projects and fund ideas to support groups to build up a stronger resources and make them more resilient, which is what we're trying to do. So please bear in mind that you know, we have that support there, and you know, we're there to help and complement whatever it is that you decide to go forward with your groups. So please don't feel alone. I'd like to say a massive congratulations to Sophie Hinksman, Dawn Gullis, Fran Holmes and Sarah Griffiths for being nominated as well for the Women Spire Awards. How amazing that 4 people connected with People First, connected within the learning disability community, have been recognised and have got this far. I think it's a major success. I mean, getting this far is a success anyway. You know, if you've got this far, you've done pretty damn well, I think, whatever the outcome. But I think in terms of raising the profile of people with learning disabilities, and in this case, especially women with learning disabilities, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that women with learning disabilities are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder, head to head with peers from all walks of life. Instead of it being a special learning disability award where only people with learning disability Wales are part of it, it's actually women with learning disabilities are competing with women from all over Wales from all over backgrounds, genuinely on merit for what they bring and what they contribute. And the 4 nominees have no doubt made their mark and made a great impact. It can only ever be a great thing for the whole self-advocacy movement. So respect, I can't say that enough. It's excellent, and I wish each and every one of you the best of luck on the day of the awards. And the final thing I would just say is I'd love to visit local groups. As I said before, local groups is where real self-advocacy happens. And if you're happy for me to come and speak at one of your groups, please let me know, and I would be delighted to set up a meeting date with you. I will of course contact groups as well myself and just say, look, is it possible I could join a meeting? But I'm very interested in what goes on in the ground. I love meeting members. There's nothing better than actually meeting members and speaking to them and to get a real flavour of what goes on in the movement. And I just end this message by saying, victory for self-advocacy. You're all amazing. Stay cool during the summer. And until next time, goodbye.